But the long-term management of the condition is, there's like a pyramid of treatments, and at the top are the things that are the most effective things, which are actually the cheapest things. So getting the flu jab, influenza vaccination, and the pneumonia vaccination is very important. It doesn't treat the condition, right? The condition is there. It doesn't reverse the condition, but it tries to limit or prevent those infections which can be fatal or damaging in the presence of someone who's got COPD. All right. There's other things such as stopping smoking and smoking cessation. Extremely important. Probably the only thing that reduces the damage, the ongoing damage to the lungs. Right? Because we know that it's an irreversible condition. We think that in many people it's a progressive condition, but if you stop smoking, it may not necessarily progress. We now know in more recent studies. But it won't regress either, unfortunately. But the only thing we can really do that is to stop smoking, to either slow down the progression or stop the progression. And then other things like keeping very active. So people who are affected because of breathlessness by this condition, there's a program called pulmonary rehabilitation. 8-week program, twice a week, where people go and do aerobic exercises, and they're taught to do that in a gym by a physiotherapist. This is all under the NHS. The GP can refer to that. Every locality will have this service. And in addition to the exercises, which people should continue doing at home after this, then there's also an educational part to this program, so pulmonary rehabilitation. And then there's medical treatments, there's pharmacotherapy, so there's inhalers. Again, they don't reverse the condition, but they help to reduce the infections, reduce the flare-ups, and improve the symptoms and quality of life.
So when it comes to, the respiratory diseases, smoking is obviously one of the major causes for that. Specifically when it comes to emphysema or COPD, is smoking the only thing that can cause that? Or
no, that's a very good question. We say about somewhere in the region of 95 to 98% of emphysema is due to smoking, but actually there are other things other environmental things that can do it. Cadmium and coal, in the case of coal miners, the dusts that they come into contact with can cause COPD as well. These are less well studied and less well recognized and much less common. But then there's a condition which is called alpha antitrypsin deficiency, which is a protein in the human body, which is produced in the liver. If there's a deficiency of that condition, then that causes emphysema and destruction of the alveoli. And these people get emphysema earlier in life than COPD. So by the age they're in their 30s, they could be diagnosed with emphysema. All right. So these people, it's even more important to not smoke in these people, because if they have that deficiency of this protein and they smoke, they're more likely to do even more damage to their lungs.
What's the long-term prognosis of people that develop an irreversible condition like COPD?
Yeah, so that's actually a very good question. It's very difficult to prognosticate in conditions such as COPD and other conditions that cause chronic organ failure. Unlike cancer, it's much easier in cancer to say to someone, look, based on how extensive your cancer is, you have X number of months or weeks or years. With these, it's much more difficult to prognosticate and give specific figures. It all depends on how severe the COPD is. And the things that we look at in terms of defining the severity of COPD are how frequently people get infections, how frequently they are admitted to hospital, how disabled they are. Some people get so breathless that they can only walk within the house. Some people become housebound. I mean, I don't want to scare people, but I see this because I'm a lung specialist and also because I'm a hospital physician. So I see the worst of the worst rather than the GP, for example. GPs also look after these patients and they refer them to us. But I see the more severe end of the spectrum. So people that are literally housebound, people that have developed respiratory failure and require oxygen all the time, or even a machine to breathe at night to help them breathe. These people are coming towards the end of life. They probably have several years to live. And it could require one pneumonia and they could die. So actually the prognosis in people with very advanced COPD is poor. And we have systems in place, such as referral to palliative care, who are in the community to help us manage people's symptoms, and avoidance admission teams to try to manage people in the community, and COPD teams, because COPD very much is a condition that is amenable to treatment within the community.
So we've had discussions about sort of organ transplant, how is that something as a treatment as well for us?
Yeah. So the problem with COPD though is by the time they're that severe, they've kind of missed the boat to be transplanted, because they've become so deconditioned. By deconditioned, I mean they've become so frail and so weak because of their condition. That vicious cycle of I'm breathless, therefore I spend most of the time in bed and chair, I don't go out, therefore the whole body becomes weak, the muscles become weak. That going through a major operation, such as a lung transplant,
Could be fatal.
is probably not in their best interest, and probably will have harm. So they'll receive a pair of lungs which go to someone else that could save their lives, who is better candidate for lung transplant than these people. So these people often don't even get referred to lung transplant. Now we are referring more people to lung transplant, than previous years. People with emphysema that is due to alpha-1 antitrypsin deficiency often get diagnosed earlier and are younger, so these people get transplanted more often than COPD patients. But I have done lung transplant, in fact, last year we only have 5 UK adult lung transplant centres, and I've worked in one of those last year, and we did used to transplant COPD patients. So if they get referred to us, probably before the age of 70, then we can consider lung transplantation.
So it just makes you wonder, doesn't it, how many implications, and even if you went for an organ donor, but you need to have the match, and how important it is to donate.
And if they continue smoking, then we don't transplant them.
No. But
it's very interesting. So because a lot of the times, people who hear stories of smoking and it's a message to the viewers, and probably to myself as well. If you want to live a life where you're almost bedbound, you can't really move out the house without failing to breathe, and you've got all these little machines trying just to keep you alive, then go ahead. But from first-hand experience of an expert in this field, he's telling me that, he's telling us that he sees the end of the spectrum. He's seeing the end results of smoking over continuous.
It's low quality start,
and the quality of life is almost.
Yeah, it's quite sad actually. It's quite sad, but I mean, it's one of the commonest conditions that I treat, COPD, and it's by and large due to cigarette smoke. By and large, I can say almost always.
Yeah, you could prevent it, you could stop.
And it's completely preventable.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, people that smoke and whatever justifications they have for it, if they saw this aspect, there's one video that I love sharing on Facebook, because Facebook now recycles videos that you've used 3 years ago, and every time it tells me on this day you use this video, I share it again, is the black lungs from someone who obviously died, and the lungs are completely black from previous smoking. If you actually saw what's happening inside your body, if you saw those people who have severe emphysema, severe lung disease, and how they're living, you probably wouldn't smoke. And that's, we talked about shisha in the previous episode. I don't think it's all about raising awareness so people can make an informed decision. I don't think people know how harmful tobacco and the other chemicals and toxins are. I'm not saying that everyone develops emphysema from smoking. There are some smokers that, for some reason, probably genetic factors, they don't have the predisposition, get away, but no one can know that. There's no blood test or, a test where I can tell you, it's fine, you smoke, you're not going to get emphysema. That doesn't exist, and and it doesn't eliminate the harmful effects of smoking on the rest of the body. We've talked about how harmful smoking is to the blood vessels, to the heart, to the brain, to everything else. Not just the lungs. So, there's no win-win with smoking. There is no win-win. Yes, I appreciate there's lots of stress in life, and people use it and shisha, and people use it as a way of de-stressing. But we have to think about alternatives, really. We have to consider other things.
And I think it's important to look at, when you sort of talk about informed decisions, and it's about really understanding that what you're doing to your body, because although we can't see it, it doesn't matter, that harm is occurring and you can perfectly prevent it. But then, it's not just, I need to de-stress, it's Friday night and I want to go for a smoke, we'll see what happens. Really, these are life-changing implications, and really to get to that point where it's irreversible would be such a shame. And for anybody who's been in hospitals and visited, and obviously you're working, seeing these people, it's soul destroying to see how people suffer, really. And we're fortunate while we have the hand to.
Yeah, I mean, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us a present.
Exactly.
And the same way that we need to look after our souls through dua and salat and what have you, we have to look after our bodies. Allah's given us this, and you know, you can make easily an argument that actually what we're doing is harming ourselves. And would the Holy Prophet and the Ahlul Bayt, you know, approve of this?
Definitely.
Had we known, and we do know, nowadays we do, maybe 100 years we didn't know, but now that we know that this is harmful, can we justify, you know, using these substances?
It's a hard question, and I think it's a hard topic, but I think, again, people need to know the implications and, you know, and decide, but really it's quite frightening from hearing, but informative. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Once again, any thoughts, any ideas, any questions, please do send us through in the email on your screen. Hopefully we can send some sort of response directly from Dr. Yasser as well. Once again, thank you, Doctor, for
and
your time.
we have mentioned, Doctor has mentioned about the smoking cessation service on the NHS, so please do log on to their website. If you Google it.
So www.nhs.uk/smoke-free.
Smoke-free.
Smoke-free.
Yeah, smoke-free.
So brilliant link there.
On that note, we're going to be joined by Sayyid Ali Nawab for some jurisprudential issues and some actionable insights in that field. So please do join us after the break. Thank you.
نه قوت در کمر دارم ابوالفضل علم دارم.
The hadith is Sharif Ma'soom Imam al-Sajjad, he says, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given my uncle Abbas a maqam such that on the day of judgment all the shuhada and the siddiqeen will wish they had the maqam of Abul Fadhil. And the Imam did not leave an exception for anyone within the kawn. The exception that we know is Ahlul Bayt through Ahkam Aqli.
Appreciate your time, and of course now we've reached the final part of the show, upon which we are looking to delve into some of the key issues that are not really spoken about in modern society. And here to really delve into those topics, really appreciate your time. Assalamu alaikum, Sayyid Ali Nawab.
Assalamu alaikum.
How are you, Sayyid?
How are you?
I'm good, alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah.
Thank you for joining us again.
Thank you, sister. Thank you for having me.
So
in our previous sessions we talked a lot about sort of family life, family law, and also remembering the dead. I think in one of the episodes today is something which is also quite important, and it's something which is often happens, but not a lot of people give importance to it. It's missing prayers and fasting. Because a lot of the cases, I've missed prayer, it's fine. You know, I might be able to do something to make up for it, or the fasting is I'll do it next year.
Perhaps people become religious later in their lives and they missed in the earlier part of their life. It's various reasons, but I think we need to know about the importance of actually.
So from a jurisprudential point of view, I mean, in terms of missing prayers and fasting, is it wajib to make up the salah? How does it work?
Ahsant. First of all, I would like to offer my azaa and my condolences for the shahada and martyrdom of Imam al-Kadhim, Musa ibn Ja'far alayhim as-salam. And as we see, the thousands, if not millions, of pilgrims are going towards the shrine in Kadhmiya. And inshallah, we are given the opportunity to visit the holy sites of this Imam. Regarding missing the prayers, or missing for some reason not fasting and doing the qadha of these acts specifically, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made it compulsory. That's one, if they missed, for example, praying Salat al-Subh. We take Salat al-Subh as an example because it's widely common that, for example, individuals do not wake up because of sleeping late or being awake until late hours of the night. And unfortunately, there are individuals who even miss prayers in the afternoon or in the evening as a result of their work, timetable or their commitments elsewhere. Of course, these are not reasons for one to miss their salah, but if they were to miss salah, they did not wake up in time or pray in time of the salah, they are always encouraged to re-pray, to do the qadha. Of course, there are spiritual gains that one would gain if they prayed on time, or at the beginning of the adhan, for example, which they will miss. For example, Salat al-Subh, if you wake up for morning prayers and you stay awake until sunrise, sunrise, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has specifically made that time, the time of Salat al-Subh and sunrise, for the malaika to come down with the blessings allocated to you for that day. Some people, they wake up at 9 or 10 in the morning when the sun's out and everyone's gone out to work. They've missed Salat al-Subh and they have also missed the blessings of that day. So it is wajib upon every mukallaf to pray on time, and if not, for some reason they've missed their salah, they have to do the qadha.
Okay. What is there a difference between people who regularly miss their prayers and then how will they make up? And is it more of the attitude of disregarding the importance of prayer rather than somebody who perhaps missed a prayer one-off in the morning, afternoon?
Again, if this is a repetitive happening, then there is definitely something wrong.
Right.
Either in the timing, or if they have a problem waking up for Salat al-Subh, they should ask family members or those who are residing with them to wake them up, or setting numerous alarms, for example. I don't know, doing anything to wake them up. And if they are not praying their prayers on time, that they should be praying on, then there is something is missing from the chain,
Right.
let's say, of iman and faith, because they're not taking salah seriously, they're taking it lightly. And this is basically iman and faith is all based on the religious acts and the prayers and the fasting.
So we're looking at missing the fasting and prayer in this world. The impact will be in the next, won't it? Because obviously, I mean, there will be impact
Of course,
here
Allah
as well.
subhanahu wa ta'ala has made salah, for example, wajib, compulsory. Allah says, this is Islam, and one of the pillars that you should be following is salah in furu' ad-din. So, if you miss it, you don't receive the blessings in this life, and in the akhirah, when they come to judge you, they open your book and they see in the prayer section there isn't much written, because with salah comes the blessings of salah. There is an angel allocated for salah that will come in front of you in the shape of either a beautiful angel or an angel that will make fear enter your life and your soul in the hereafter. And the angel comes to you if you was an individual who protected salah and you protected the sanctity of prayers. They will come to you and they will say, "Hafidhtani hafizakallah." You looked after me, you protected me, you prayed me on time, I will protect you, and I will ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect you in that bumpy ride until one reaches the everlasting place in the paradise. But vice versa, if you did not look after your salah, if you did not take salah seriously, the angel will come in the shape of a very frightening creation and will say, "Dhayya'tani dhayya'aka Allah." You did not take me seriously, you lost me. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to lose you.
So on that
to
note,
look at you.
on that note, and just following on from a previous discussion that we had in terms of remembering the dead and how we can, send supplications and prayers and stuff. What happens when you, as a person, dies and you have missing salah or missing fasts? How does that work?
If the family members they know or they knew that the deceased did not have, for example, a good part of their life they did not pray.
Yeah.
Or they had مثلا one Shahr Ramadan or two Ramadans and they did not fast. They should, the eldest son has the responsibility legally,
Islamic, okay.
Islamically. The responsibility lies on the eldest son to take care of that. Either he himself does the qadha of the prayers,
We pay someone else.
or he financially supports someone to commit to doing the qadha of the fasting and the salah.
And in terms...
Of course, wants to try in their lifetime before they depart from this life to do the qadha of fasting and
yes.
salah.
What if they don't know how much salah they've missed or fasting?
The ahkam or the hukum is, as mentioned in the books of the ulama, is that they should sit down and say, okay, I know there is a minimum to it and I know there is a maximum. So they always stick to the maximum. They say, for example, I know I didn't pray for a month, that's the least, or I missed prayers for 3 months, for example. So they should take 3 months as an example, and they should pray for
Cover
3
it
months.
just in case,
Yeah,
yeah.
just in case. And for fasting, they say, as some for precautionary reasons as well. They know that they fasted, and they know that they prayed all their life. There are some religious individuals, in their will, they write that I want my family members to pay for fasting of 1 year, for example, and for salah of 1 year.
Just in case?
Just in case. Maybe 1 year my fasting wasn't as I wanted it to be, or maybe when I was praying I didn't have full concentration, or my prayer was not accepted, so I don't face any problems in the hereafter. So again, salah and siyam sometimes is mentioned in the wills of mu'mineen and mu'minat, and sometimes it's not. But if the children, of the family members, even if they knew that their father was someone who was praying on time and did the fasting, for the sake that he is happy and he is blessed in his grave, they should pay someone to at least do 1 year's worth of salah and one year worth of fasting.
And if somebody...
And hajj as well, of
So
course.
I was
I
gonna
was
say,
about to say,
yeah.
does that...
I was actually going to say the ziyarah and the hajj, if they didn't, parents perhaps, somebody else in your family didn't get opportunity to perform their wajib hajj, then it's something that...
Yeah, the answer lies in this story that I am going to narrate to you. That one of the believers passed away, and they saw their relatives in the dream, or their relatives saw them in the dream, and they saw that they were in a bad state. And they asked them, why are you in a bad state? Did not Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam not come by to your side? Because we believe when we pass away, Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, they come and visit us, or they intercede for us. That's before Judgment Day in Alam al-Barzakh. So this deceased says to their family members, there is one thing that I am being punished for, and that is because I did not go to Hajj, and I was able to go to Hajj. And they brought me in front of Ali ibn Abi Talib, Amir al-Mu'mineen, and he was looking at my book, and he said, I can't do anything for you. Fatima to Zahra, he said, I called upon Lady Fatima, and I said, if you can intercede for me. Lady Fatima came to Amir al-Mu'mineen and said, he is one of our lovers, he is one of our followers. Is there anything we can do to help him? Amir al-Mu'mineen says he's missed one of the important pillars of Islam. He was able to go to Hajj, but he did not. So Fatima to Zahra alayhi salam faces Imam al-Mahdi, and this is all in Alim al-Ru'ya. Lady Fatima faces Imam al-Mahdi alayhi salam and says, oh my son Mahdi, now you are alive, you are the Imam of his time. If you are able to go to Hajj this year and dedicate your Hajj for the sake of this mu'min.
SubhanAllah.
So here, Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, they will intercede, whether it was for Salah, Sawm, Hajj, but that doesn't mean that we should neglect. We shouldn't do it. But if one is able to go to Hajj in his lifetime and does not, and he passes away, again, it's the responsibility of the family, the eldest son, to pay. Either he himself goes to Hajj on behalf of his father, or pay someone to go to Hajj and perform pilgrimage for him.
I think it's quite scary how we neglect our wajib. You're saying there's a big...
It has its
massive
effects.
yeah.
It has its negative effects in this life, and it has its effects in the hereafter as well.
Can it be as significant as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala denying you entrance to heaven, for example?
Of course, because this is one of the wajibat, and when we say wajib, which means that if you don't do this wajib, you've for example missed the train and the train is gone.
Of course.
And it's one of the things that will add to the many other things that will make you go into the heaven.
And that's why it's so important for loved ones, family members to remember the dead, just in case. Because you can imagine a desperate situation where you, for example, need maybe 1 or 2 months of salah, and the son hasn't taken care of that. Assuming
and
that
we're talking mostly about the hereafter now, but in the lifetime, it is very important that we stick to our salah, because we will see the advantages and the benefits of salah, of Sawm, because it will cleanse our souls. It will continuously protect us, and we are refrained, or we are saved from entering into difficult situations. And of course, it will protect us and our families, because the malaika, they will not enter a house if the inhabitants of that house do not pray. If there is one person in that house that does not pray, the malaika will not come and protect that household.
There's a couple of minutes left, and what I wanted to touch on, if it's okay.
Of course,
is that there are people within our school of thought who say that and I've travelled with people, seen it's time of azan, and people don't pray, and they say it's not on time, and perhaps they're doing something else, and they say, but the intercession of Imam Hussein is enough. He will give us that. How would you respond to that in terms of?
It's a problem that we have been made aware of. Unfortunately, it does exist, but the responsibility firstly and foremostly lies upon the ulama and the community to educate those individuals for the importance of salah. Because if they were to be educated from a young and early age, when salah and Sawm and all of these acts became wajib upon them, they wouldn't have taken this lightly. And of course, there is this misconception again, and there is this thing going around like a virus that says that for the fact that you love Ahlul Bayt, you cry and mourn for Imam Hussein, you do matam and azah for Imam Hussein. Imam Hussein will do an intercession for you, and they will come and save you from the hellfire. And if that is the case, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would have said from the beginning, the lovers of Ali ibn Abi Talib, they are exempt from doing salah. Or he wouldn't have created salah in the first place if Ahlul Bayt were the ones that saved us.
Good point.
So here, salah is something, and remembering Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam is something else. And one completes the other. Salah completes the fact that you are remembering Ahlul Bayt, and Ahlul Bayt are the ones that call people to do salah, and they advise and encourage their mu'mineen to do salah. Ali ibn Abi Talib died in the hala, in the position of salah. Rasulullah alayhi salawatullahi alayhi, he was the one that endured many hardship because he was calling people to salah and Sawm and Hajj. So Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam teach us that whether it was in good times or bad times, whether you are doing another act of worship, still you have to practice salah. You have to practice fasting and Hajj.
I think the final, I always remember people, we cry for Imam Hussein, but one of his biggest lessons on the day of Ashura is the fact that he stops midway and prays. And we are not emulating that basic, that is how important it is, that whatever is happening in the circumstances, prayer is prayer. And may Allah give us the blessings to continue to perform our wajibat. And thank you so much for enlightening us today, Sayyid.
Thank you.
Inshallah, have a blessed Friday.
Just to echo the words of Zahra, we really, really appreciate your time, Sayyid. And
Thank you very much.
We very much look forward to seeing you on our next episode of Morning Baraka. For now, inshallah, your Fridays are blessed, and we once again send our condolences to the Muslim world on the martyrdom of Imam Hussein al-Kadhim. And on that note, wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
السلام عليكم عليكم يا
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Ahkam SOS, the show that discusses Islamic duties and responsibilities by His Eminence the Grand Ayatollah Sayyid Sadiq Shirazi. May Allah prolong his life. I'm your host Mohsin Shah, and joining me is Sheikh Ali Ma'ar. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Sheikhna, in the previous discussions we were discussing the Jama'ah Salah. We also looked at the leader, the Imam of the Jama'ah Salah, and characteristics and attributes that he must have. We also discussed when joining the Salah, if you're not there at the beginning and you wanted to join in. I wanted to ask you, Sheikh, when an individual like myself, let's say myself, I'm coming in, the Imam is in ruku. I hurry up to join the congregation. I say Allahu Akbar, but before I get into my ruku, the Imam stands up or he's moved from his position. What am I supposed to do in that situation?
أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين. Well, there are two options for the Musalli to choose from. When the Musalli starts the Salah with the Takbirah of Al-Ihram, and he's not going to catch up with the Imam when he's in the ruku', and in this case he said the Allahu Akbar, but he missed the ruku' of the Imam. In other words, he missed that rak'ah in which he just joined the Imam in that Salah. Two options. The first option, either he turns to the Furada intention, so he opts out and he begins to pray as Furada individually. So he makes an intention and he leaves the Jama'ah by praying by himself. That's the first option. The second option, he can choose to stay in a stand and wait for the Imam to come up from the sujood for the second rak'ah. So he joins the Imam in the second rak'ah. Of course, if the Imam didn't took so long, that the posture of the Salah is now changed. If not, and the Imam quickly, he went to the ruku' and sujood and he came up, then he can join the Imam in the second rak'ah. So these are two options.
Ahsan, Sheikhna. Sheikhna, what about when we go to a non-Shia mosque and there's a non-Shia congregation of prayer going on? Are we allowed to join that congregation? Also, if there is a possibility of praying farada, you can pray separately by yourself on the side. Should we pray by ourselves on the side, or should we join the congregation and pray our way?
If the one prays with them in Jama'ah, of course, his Salah would not be accepted. Because we mentioned previously that one of the conditions and the criteria of the Imam of the Jama'ah, that he must be from the follower of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, 12 Imami. And that is a core condition with regard to this. So we cannot pray behind anybody who is not the follower of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, even those who follow just 6 Imams, for example. In this case, no, the Salah is not accepted unless he makes the intention of Furada and he's within the Jama'ah, but he prays, he says, recites the Alhamd and Surah by himself, and the intention that he's praying Furada, that's fine. Or otherwise, if he prays with them, in other words, that he follows the Imam as we do in our Jama'ah Salah, that would not be accepted.
Ahsan, thank you for clearing that up. Sheikhna, what is the advice you give to those who speak a little loud, especially during Jama'ah prayer, when there's a congregational prayer going? Sometimes individuals, they speak quite loudly, they have a loud voice, or they may disturb or disrupt the prayer. I mean, what are we supposed to do with such individuals? What about those who are in the actual congregational prayer and they do things to disrupt the prayer?
If this constitutes nuisance to the crowd there and violation of the respect to the mosque, to the Jama'ah, to the Imam himself, then this is not permissible. You're not allowed to break the sanctity of the mosque and the Jama'ah prayer when they're praying and cause nuisance and sounds and so forth. And also not to forget that if somebody raises his voice in the Salah more than the limit, he starts to shout or scream when he recites the, I don't know, the ruku' or sujood. In this case, the Salah will be batil.
Wow.
Because it's beyond the level of the recitation. The voice shouldn't be so much high, in a shouting or screaming level. That will make the Salah batil. And likewise, if somebody doesn't utter the words, if he prays silently and it doesn't show, that also will make the Salah batil. So we have to be in the middle, that when we pray silently, we whisper the Salah, the recitation. And when we recite them in loud, we try to make them heard, but not to be so much screaming or shouting level.
Ahsan, Sheikh. Sheikh, we were talking about having a non-Shia Jama'ah and Imam having a congregational prayer, and one of the conditions for us is that the Imam of the Jama'ah has to be Shia. So my question is that is this set in stone that you are not allowed to pray behind a Shia Imam? And if not, why not? As in, are we not all Muslim? Are we not all worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala?
As I've explained previously, that the 6 conditions must be met with the Imam of the Jama'ah. And the main one, as I mentioned, to be the Shia of 12 Imams of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, and the haqq belief and doctrine. However, if somebody prays behind such Imam, if he was compelled to pray, sometimes you're at college or university and you have friends who are non-Shia and they encourage you to come and pray with them Jama'ah. In this case, if you're compelled, you feel yourself, you have to pray with them, it's a bit difficult to not accept their invitation for the Salah Jama'ah. In this case, you pray with them and you have to go back and repeat the Salah, because the Salah with the Imam of Jama'ah in which doesn't believe in Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam is batil and invalidates the Salah. So you must repeat the Salah. Unless, as I've said, you pray it with the intention of furada. That is a way of exit.
Ahsan. Sheikhna, can one charge money for leading a Jama'ah? Can the Imam of the Jama'ah charge for this service?
Well, it's preferred not to do so. The Salah, Jama'ah, the Adhan, and so forth, they're supposed to be implemented and established every day. These are the duties of the mu'min, to implement the Salah, apply the Salah. أقم الصلاة لذكري, to apply the Salah every day. So there must be mu'addin, there must be Imam Jama'ah, there must be people come to the mosque and pray. So they shouldn't actually be paid because there are needs for those who come and offer the Salah or offer the Adhan. They might be in need of such income. Then overall they pay them the income in order for them to be able to make living, some kind of income. But as the Sayyid mentions, that it's preferred not to be paid for such act. Maybe they get paid because they do lectures, for example. They do, for example, teach, for example, students Arabic language and so forth. But for the Salah, it's better not to get the money for that.
So, I mean, the best way to say is that an mu'ammin or a resident alim, they have a lot of responsibilities, don't they, when they go to a mosque? It's not just that they have to provide lectures and lessons, and sometimes in Jummah khutbahs and also Dua al-Kumel on evenings and Dua al-Tawassul on evenings. But also there's a lot of counseling involved, there's a lot of funeral ceremonies, there's marriage ceremonies and so forth. So being paid for the overall service, which may include Jama'ah Salah, that's okay. But being, for example, if I don't perform the Jama'ah Salah, I don't get paid that much money. This is where it becomes makruh. This is where it becomes an issue, correct?
Well, it is important that we do not treat these worship acts as part of our trading or in a way of transactions, you know, that's like buying and selling. These are at the end of the day worship, and we are committed to attend these places and offer the prayers, offer the adhan as well, the muaddin as well, the same situation. So it's better not to concentrate on these issues, materialistic issues. And it's better that the one offers the service, as you mentioned, in overall, and he gets paid because he's teaching, he's doing such and such, he's, let's say, reading the contracts of marriage and so forth, divorce and so forth, and to be paid as overall. But to be specific for that, if you don't pay, then I don't pray, that's not the right way of dealing with such ilahi worship, divinely worship, in which has such a great rewards that we read about. If it exceeds 10 people, then nobody can count the rewards except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Ahsan, Shaykhna. Shaykhna, it's been stated that one shouldn't, take congregational prayer lightly. One shouldn't miss out, especially when you have no reason to miss out. So you just, I don't know, I don't feel like going to pray Jama'ah Salah. You shouldn't do that. Is this an actual order? Is this ahkam for us? Or is this just showing us how important it is to get involved with the Jama'ah Salah, and how severe the undesirability is to avoid praying Jama'ah Salah, especially when you have no reason to do so, no justification?
Well, attending the Jama'ah Salah is something desirable and mustahab and very encouraged. However, if people took this Salah of the Jama'ah lightly and didn't care about it, and the Imam was left alone, for example, for many days, maybe one or two people just praying behind him, or not even one single person, in this case, if it contributes to taking the Salah lightly, then they have to somehow arrange and inform people that at least we need some people to attend, 4 or 5, and to keep the sanctity of the mosque, the sanctity of the Salah Jama'ah to be held and not to be left alone, because this is the mosque, this is the place in which people should attend and gather and perform the Salah. Where can you offer the Salah other than the mosques? The mosques are there for the worship, for the Salah. Aqim as-salat li dhikri. So we go to the mosque, pray the Jama'ah, and we try to get the rewards as much as we can, and avoid the non-attendance and being careless about the Jama'ah Salah, in which we will be losing the thawab in dunya and akhirah. Of course, the thawab in dunya, sometimes you see that it's more materialistic. You get the rizq, you get all the bounties in dunya, and in akhirah, of course, we need the hasanat. Wa fil akhirati hasana, that's what we need, that in akhirah as well we gain more thawab by attending and acknowledging this great salah, in which will bring the brothers, the mu'mineen, the faithfuls, together in one place, in one gathering, in rows together to stand and worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala together.
Ahsan, Shaykhna. Thank you very much, Shaykhna, especially on this discussion. And that was the last episode that we had on the topic of Jama'ah, inshallah. We encourage you all to participate in congregational prayer, as the thawab is so much that even the angels, the jinn and man were to write it, with all the trees being pens and all the waters being ink, we still wouldn't be able to count the amount of thawab that you'd get if there was more than 10 people. Inshallah, you will be praying in congregation, and also me and the Sheikh will be also there in congregation wherever you are in the world. Please remember us in your du'as and remember the Imam of our time. And inshallah, we'll see you on the next episode of Hakam SOS. Inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.
Praise belongs to God, whose decree none may avert, and whose gift none may prevent. No fashioner's fashioning is like his fashioning, and he is the generous, the all-embracing. He brought forth the varieties of unprecedented creatures, and perfected through his wisdom all he had fashioned. Hidden not from him are harbingers, nor lost with him are deposits. He repays every fashioner, feathers the nest of all who are content, and has mercy upon all who humble themselves. He sends down benefits and the all-encompassing book in radiant light. He hears supplications, averts afflictions, raises up in degrees and knocks down tyrants. For there is no God other than He, Nothing is equal to him, like him there is naught, and he is the hearing, the seeing, the subtle, the aware, and he is powerful over all things.
Choose your monthly charity share for expanding and distributing the Husseini teachings and rituals all around the world through Imam Hussein TV channels. $200 monthly, $100 monthly, $50 monthly. Choose one of the following procedures to donate your charity share. Send your charity share via money transfer companies all around the world to Kerbala, receiver name Abbas Muhammad Ali, and inform the channel public relations about the donated amount and the money transfer company name via the following number 00964 7735 300149. Send the words "I am a member too" through WhatsApp app or Telegram